You see, I am a simple college student living alone in an apartment. I was very enthusiastic about the release of the Pokemon Heart Gold Soul Silver here in the States. I have purposely locked myself out of all media and the internet aside for school purposes. That means no 4chan, no /v/ no Bubblepedia, etc. As I was busy with the school year and being poor at the time, I wasn't able to buy Soul Silver on its launch date. After my school year ended, I ordered Soul Silver on Amazon. However, it would take a week to arrive. I decided that during this time I would replay my Crystal version on my Game Boy Color. However, I realized that long ago my mom threw it away because I told her the save went dead. I was very upset about it then, so she threw away my Silver version. So all I have is my Game Boy Color. As such, I set out to a GameStop and bought a used Silver version, as it's the only Pokemon game left that they have for the GBC. $10, fairly cheap. I went home and started up for a nostalgia trip. However, that's where things started getting bizarre. Most likely the reason why you read this. The Game Freak logo started up as normal, but it froze here. I thought the card just errored something, so I turned it off and on. The same thing happened. I tried pressing A and start over and over. And all the buttons, the logo vanished and there was a black screen for about 5 seconds. Suddenly, rather than going to the usual menu screen, I was already in the game in the previous save file, which was odd, and I was expecting all these cards to have been wiped by the poor battery. Either way, I wasn't complaining, as I would have chosen the continue option to see what the previous guy did anyways. First up, I tracked his trainer information. His name was just Dots. He didn't have much originality. I checked his profile. Apparently, he had 99999 hours put into the game, with all 16 badges, 99999.9 Pokédollars, and 251 Pokemon on the Pokédex. Seeing he apparently had Mew and Celebi logged also, I'm guessing he used a Game Genie or was a really hardcore Pokemon gamer back then. I checked his Pokemon to see what a badass team he has. To my surprise, I saw 5 unknowns and a 6th Pokemon named Hurry. I'm thinking this must be a cruel joke by the person who last played this game, but I decided to track the profiles of those Pokemon anyways. As expected, they were different letters of unknown. All level 5. I was a bit shaky of my unknown alphabet at the time, but I identified the word spelled to be leave. As for 6 Pokemon, it turned out to be Sakuro. Mind you, this was before there were individualized Pokemon icons. The Sakuro looked normal, but it was level 5 only, with only 1 HP left with only 2 attacks, Leer and Slash. I don't know why they named him Hurry, but at the time I just disregarded it. The most eerie thing was that despite my volume being at max, none of the Pokemon has said their usual cries, just pure silence. Having enough of the team, I closed it. I was parked at what appears to be a room inside Bellsprout Tower. However, for some reason, there were no NPCs around. Even more eerie was that the pillar in the middle didn't move at all, as if it was just leaning on its side. There was no music at all, and there was no exit or ladder. At least, I thought there wasn't. I walked around for a few minutes and can't seem to find a way out. This certainly is not a room I have seen in Belfast before. I tried checking my items for an escape rope, but the bag was completely empty. There wasn't any wild Pokemon either. Finally, I managed to find a ladder. It turned out to be behind the pillar. The screen turned black and the music finally started playing. I had a sudden chill as I recognized the melody I heard to be you. The theme you heard to be the theme you hear when you listen to the radio at the elf rooms where the unknown are at. I immediately realized that it wasn't loading transition, but I was in a dark room and would need flash before I took care of that though. I immediately checked my Pokegear to change the radio to something more pleasant, but it turns out there was no radio card or even a phone or time cards. There was only a map card in rich gold dots from earlier, and I will call him Gold from now on. I was walking in the midst of black. I recall Sakuro has flash, so I turned off my Pokegear and made Sakuro use flash. I didn't see any message saying hurry has used flash or anything like that. The room just became lit just like that, and I soon regretted it. The room was chilling blood red, as linear gray path heading south. The ladder I used to go up and down was not there anymore. I had no choice but to head south. The screen got darker every 20 steps I made, until I finally made it to the end. It appears to be a sign. I read the sign which said, "Turn back now." Suddenly I was asked the question yes or no, but there was no question asked. I chose yes, so I do not know what it was asking, and the screen went black again. Making a ladder climb the sound, the unowned radio music stopped, and in a few seconds was replaced with the non-as-creepy Pokefleet radio music. I was in another dark room, but I held my breath and used flash again. Suddenly, it said that Hurry has fainted, which was odd since I recall that there was no status conditions like poison on him, and I clearly wasn't in the battle. I checked my Pokemon quickly, and suddenly he wasn't in my party. In fact, after a bit of investigating, now my Pokemon are there, but instead has been replaced with level 10 unknown. I did the same thing as before and spelled out the unknown, and then my team of unknown spelled, he died. Either way, after that creepy strange, the room was lit to reveal itself in a very small room that appears to be only 4 squares big. The walls of that room were grey bricks, as if I was inside something that was hollowed out. Outside the room appears to be a large bunch of graves similar to the ones in Pokemon Red and Blue. I walked around the small room and pressed A, and nothing happened. I've already concluded that this was clearly a hacked game and some sadistic fuck sold it to GameStop. However, my curiosity kept me going. I checked the trainer profile of Dots again to find the sprite of Gold was missing his arms. He also seemed to appear less smug, but rather seems more sad. empty in a way that I do not know how to describe for some reason. It also said that he had 24 Rajas, which was clearly impossible. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, my character suddenly spun and did the escape rope spinning animation. Instead of flying up through, my character spun downwards slowly as if sinking. After that screen, the music stopped. After finally landing, the overworld sprite of gold is colored differently now. Instead of the usual red color he dons, he appears completely white now, including his skin. It's as if he came straight from the colorless Game Boy games. Placed into a color background of the Game Boy Color. I checked his profile and while now is as white as his overworld sprite, he lost his legs and has what appears to be bloody tears from his eyes. It also says that he now has 32 badges, which now starts to disturb me as this change of number seems to represent something important. I also checked my Pokemon, which this time contains 5 unknowns and a level 100 Celebri without a name. The unknown are his time leveled 15 and spelled out dying. I checked the Celebri's profile. There was a shiny Celebri, except there was only half of the sprite, 1 leg, 1 arm, 1 eye. It was only 1 attack. It only has 1 attack, Paris Song. The area I was in itself was the Sprout Tower. With the immobile pillar as before. Except everything is apparently red now. I walked north for what felt like forever. Eventually I encountered some generic men and women NPC. They were all lined up to the side, just facing the long slanted pillar in the middle. They were also white. Nothing happens when I speak to them. I kept on going north until eventually the pillar finally appears chopped off, with a transparent red in that spot. I went up to red without even pressing A, and suddenly engaged and finally in a battle. The music starts again, which sounds like the unknown radio music again, but played backwards. Gold's battle back sprite matches his front one with his bloody eyes, white skin, and lack of arms, while red sprite was the same as before in GSC. Except transparent, the text simply says want to battle, as if he has no name, and both of us only have 1 Pokemon each. Which is weird, as I swore I had 6 with the unknowns. My shiny Celebi came out, conveniently with half a sprite of the back sprite also. The shiny noise and the animation was different, and the noise it made sound like multiple screech attacks, and consecutively, Red sent out a seemingly normal male Pikachu, except he was a level 255 and his sprite seems sad and has tears in his eyes. Rather than the usual fight item Pokemon Run menu, I was only given the option to use attacks since Celebi was the only one. I chose it naturally since Pikachu was 255. He went first. Pikachu used Curse, lowering his speed and increasing his other stats. I was not even sure Pikachu. So Levi used Paris Song. In 3 turns, both Pokemon get KO'd. Not like I have a point, I have a choice. At this point, I didn't even go back to the fight menu, as the battle just continued without me. Also note that there were no animations at all for some reason. Pikachu used Frill, which didn't do much damage despite his level and boost as his health was maxed. So Levi used Paris Song, nothing happens as it was already used. Pikachu and used Frustration, which did a shit ton of damage, knocking Levi down less than 10 HP. So Levi used Pain Split, which surprised me as Levi didn't have that attack in the first place. Now Levi and Pikachu have about 150 HP. Pikachu used Mean Look, not like that did anything. As expected due to the effects of Paris Song, my Levi had fainted. Except in the text, it says Levi has died. And instead of the ordinary drop-off screen animation as Levi backslid to Spanish, for some reason the Pikachu was still up with Paris Song, and it didn't count as my loss. Pikachu used one more different attack beyond the 5 attack limit. Pikachu used Destiny Bond. Afterwards it said Pikachu has died. With a slow fade-out animation, apparently I was the winner, and as the transparent red sprite showed up and said dots. At that point I just freaked out, as that transparent red sprite was suddenly beheaded, leaving nothing but his transparent body. The battle then went at the point and faded along with the music. I'm back in the overworld, with another change of the Ghost Sprite. He is now transparent as Red's overworld sprite. I quickly checked Gold's profile, where this time the only thing remains of him is his head, with transparent skin. The head was zoomed in a bit, showing a black void in his eyes. It stated that he now has 40 badges. I then backed out and checked my Pokemon. They were all level 20 shiny unowned, which when spelled out read no more. I was at what I now know is next to the end. There is apparently no music playing, but for some reason I still felt like something was there that could be heard. I was back in my room in New Bog Town. Maybe finally I get to play this game properly. But who am I kidding? I knew that this sadistic fuck must have done something. I walked around my room to interact with things, and I'm a bit afraid to go down the stairs to see what was waiting down there. Note, I said walked. As while the background was moving, Gold was not moving his transparent limbs at all while doing so, just floating like those ghosts you see in Diamond or Pearl. As expected, the radio, computer, and TV did not work. I had no choice but to go downstairs. I ended up in the same lower level room of my house. Everything appears normal except Mom isn't home. After failing to interact with anything in this room, I decided to go outside. To my surprise, the door leading outside at south didn't work, and instead I just walked straight through it to a void. I continued moving south to see what the fuck was going on. A house vanishes as I head south into the void. It was creepy as I entered the void. The outline of Gold's transparent sprite turned white to contrast with the pitch black. Eventually, I reached the white area of Gold's sprite turned black and transparent again. I continued south without thinking of stopping at all. After a long trek south, I finally encountered something. It was Gold's regular sprite. I talked to it. He said goodbye forever. Notably with a space in between the forever and vanished. As that happened, it said, use nightmare, which at that point I would not deny that being possible. Gold did another escape rope animation, spinning slowly downwards like before. I am now back into that small hollow out room surrounded by graves earlier. At least I say I was back there. There was no sprite, as there's no sprite anymore. I tried to walk around, but nothing moved. Not even a wall bumping noise. I checked my trainer profile with absolutely no gold sprite left. It said I had 0 badges, and all the pictures of Johto gym leaders at the bottom were replaced with skulls. I checked my profile, which were all 25 unknown, as expected to spell out the phrase that I dared to read: I'm dead. As soon as I went back to the overworld, the room was then covered with the same blocks as the walls. I then figured out so exactly that room was when the final text was said RIP. The room was a big grave surrounded by other graves. Gold has already been dead. He died presumably a few years after he defeated Red. He was a young trainer who, despite his efforts in collecting many badges and attempts at becoming a Pokemon master, was still unable to avoid the inevitable fate of death, and his efforts were eventually forgotten by the next generation. I was unable to escape from that text no matter what I pressed. I tried resetting the game and the same thing happened, at which I then finally decided to give up on that horrible nightmare. After that experience, I never look at the gimmick unowned the same way. They say that only the first generation have folk tales and legends, but the second generation has shown me how unpleasant the truth can be. I eventually enjoyed Soul Silver immensely, but I still can't unthink what the original game has told me. The game. In early December of 2010, a complete working fan game of Lost Silver was made. The game is its own executable rather than a ROM hack, and therefore does not require an eliminator nor than a Pokemon Silver ROM. There has been talk about expanding the story by adding a different series of events. If the player chooses no at sign that says turn back now, while many people believe the events when truly saying no, which is referred as hidden by fans. Its made up edition by the fans is in fact made up by the original writer in the response to the creator of the fan game. The standalone fan game was made using an underlying Pokemon engine created by the game creation program called Game Maker. The source file or the game can be downloaded and edited here.